We've been talking a lot in recent days and weeks, but especially recent days. I feel like there's been a major shift in public opinion about the Israel-Gaza war just in the past few days, where the United States is finally allowing the UN resolution to pass through, calling for a ceasefire. You have both Alex Jones and AOC finally coming out and saying it's genocide. You have Netanyahu canceling his appearance at the White House, and you have basically Chuck Schumer saying we need regime change in Israel. So it's been a flood of negative press for Israel, which makes this headline not surprising, but encouraging nonetheless. According to a new Gallup poll, majority in U.S. now disapprove of Israeli action in Gaza. Look at the size of this drop. Approval has dropped from 50 to 36 since November. Americans have shifted to disapproval of Israeli military action in Gaza. Look at the percentage. So in November, 50% approved, 45% disapproved, 4% no opinion. That approval down 14 points, disapproval up 10 points. 9% now say they are unsure. All three major parties.
It is just amazing the inroads Hamas is making among the American people.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, good PR there. All three major party groups in the U.S. have become less supportive of Israel's actions in Gaza than they were in November. This includes declines of 18 percentage points in approval among both Democrats and independents, and a 7-point decline among Republicans. Independents have shifted from being divided in their views of the Israeli military action to opposing it. Democrats, who were already largely opposed in November, are even more so now, with 18% approving and 75% disapproving. Republicans still support Israel's military efforts, but a reduced majority, 64 down from 71, now approve. So here you could see the changes in the three party alignments: Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. And if you notice, as that article mentioned, the keys here for Biden are the fact that Democratic support has gone down from 36% down to 18%. But the real killer here and the real dramatic drop is from Independents, who were half and half in November and are now 29% favorable, 60% opposing Israel's actions in Gaza. Democrats' widespread opposition to Israel's actions now underscores the difficulty of the issue for President Joe Biden among his most loyal supporters. Some Democratic critics believe Biden has been too closely aligned with Israel by not taking stronger actions to promote a ceasefire and to assist Palestinian civilians caught in the war zone. Biden's approval rating for his handling of the situation in the Middle East at 27% is his lowest among 5 issues tested in the survey. This is because far fewer Democrats approve of how he is handling the situation between Israelis and Palestinians than approve of his handling of the economy, the environment, energy policy, and foreign affairs broadly. On those issues, no less than 66% of Democrats approve of Biden. Even 66 is pretty low for your own party loyalists.
Yes.
It's very low. Very low.
In an election year?
Yes, especially in an election year. Only further contributing to Biden's low ratings on the Middle East situation, just 21% of independents and 16% of Republicans approve of his performance on the issue. So that's obviously good news to see that public opinion is shifting in the right direction, and that is in no small part to people like you guys in the audience, to people who go out and march in the streets. That's why this is happening. There's no doubt about that. It also is a real case study in just how polarized we are as a country and how you really do have Democrats and Republicans living in a completely different world. Because the Democrats' opposition to Biden on this issue is because they see him as being far too supportive of Israel. The Republicans' disapproval of Biden on this issue is from the exact opposite direction. They think he's selling Israel out. And so you have a certain fact set, but look at how that gets processed just in completely different ways, depending on which party you're in. Obviously, they both arrive at disapproval of Joe Biden, but for completely different reasons. Then what really glues it all, pardon me, together is that independents have soured on Israel, too, in a huge way, from being almost 50-50 to now less than a third of independents approving Israel's actions. So that marks just an absolutely seismic shift, because don't forget, in America, between the Christian right and the die-in-the-wool Zionist sort of ideologues like the Ben Shapiros, it's very difficult to imagine it getting lower than 36%. I mean, it's unfortunate that you can't imagine that. But you have to think, okay, baseline level of support, like it's not going to go below 30 in America between the evangelicals and the Zionist Democrats and the Zionist Republicans, but it's getting there.
Honestly, as we keep saying, unfortunately, tragically, we pray that we're wrong for the sake of the people in Gaza. But I think you ain't seen nothing yet in terms of the images that are going to be coming out of Gaza over the next few months as famine and disease really take their toll. At that point, saying you're for that is going to be like saying you're for Darfur.
Yeah.
Right? Like what? So I do think it will go below that, in spite of all the politics around Israel, because you're just not going to be able to. Yeah, you know what? I like what's happening in Rwanda. You're just not going to be able to say that past a certain point.
That's true. You know, that's a good point. You're probably right about that. Because, and this goes to here, I'll show this super chat, because somebody asked, is it really 80% of Jews supporting Israel? So there's this parsing of this where, like, you have the Marianne Williamsons who would probably answer yes, do they support Israel, in the sense that they are Zionists. They support a Jewish state. They support the project of Israel. No, I don't. Right? So we would split there. But there is perhaps a parsing of, do you support Israel and do you support their military campaign as it's currently being done in Gaza, where even someone like Marianne would say, no, I don't.
Right.
So the fact that, so now it's at 36% support for their military operation. Yeah, Russell, I think you're right. I think given the headlines, it could fall well below that. Like, you're not going to get, I don't think, 70% of Americans to completely disavow Israel as a project. But I think you're probably correct, and that was a good catch, that it probably can and will fall below 30% in terms of support for this war.
Yes. I can't imagine it won't. As the images, because, hey, look, CNN, credit where credit is due, they have done a lot of segments with really horrific images from inside Gaza, which tells me the mainstream media is probably not going to ignore it. They probably will air some of that footage, and that's it.
Well, they already have. I mean, they've already started, as you said. I mean, that footage that they showed of the starving kids was pretty harrowing, and if that is a sign of their coverage to come, then yeah, it will only get worse. It will only get worse.
And then they'll accuse us all of being anti-Semitic. It's really been amazing looking at that rhetoric when you have people all around the world. Like, what kind of bubble do you have to live in to believe that this is all a spontaneous eruption of latent anti-Semitism rather than a loathing for genocide and the result of decades of retraining society in the way that they think about colonial settler projects?
Right. Exactly.
Please clap.